For every beloved Love Island guest, there is also one hated by everyone. Starting with one of the most hated, Hurricane Huda. The first red flag we have to discuss is the way certain contestants utterly destroy the villa's sisterhood vibe. Love Island viewers anticipate drama, but there is a distinction between fun conflict and outright toxic behavior. Season 7's Hurricane Huda was a masterclass in the latter. Huda's greatest issue wasn't that she was dramatic, it's that she was hypocritical in her behavior about it. She'd comfort tearful islanders with things such as, "Your feelings are real, babe. He's a piece of sauce for doing that," and then turn right around and trash talk those very girls behind their backs.
I'm here for you.
Alright, I know her emotional as.
Her romance with Jeremiah Brown was a masterclass in not doing villa romance. Their endless arguments took up screen time, and honestly, most of it was either entirely staged or simply cringeworthy. When viewers are skipping your relationship scenes, you know you fucked up. The backlash on social media was vicious. She was called toxic and manipulative, and the abuse escalated to the point that her ex-boyfriend had to step in and defend her mentally on social media. That is when you know you've crossed the line from reality TV villain to actually being a problematic individual. But poisonous behavior can be rationalized away as strategy or entertainment. What actually distinguishes the despised from the beloved is something much more profound. There are times when Love Island presents us with contestants so true to themselves that you can't help but fall in love with their presence. Amaya Papaya Espinal of Season 7 turned out to be one of the few Islanders who showed us that you don't have to game or cause drama to win America over. Amaya made a big entrance during Season 7 Episode 4 as a bombshell, and immediately, she brought something the villa so lacked: real vulnerability. She was a registered nurse hailing from New York City, and she had this lovely attitude where she never attempted to suppress her emotions or fake an image for TV. What set Amaya apart was her approach to rejection and heartbreak. In the early episodes of Season 7, when Ace Green chose her but later expressed a desire to keep his options open, many contestants would have reacted with anger or retreated into a strategic mindset. What Amaya did was process her emotions openly and honestly, and share with the audience what emotional maturity really looks like on reality television. Her attempts at connecting with Austin Shepherd didn't pan out either, but this is where Amaya truly excelled. She rebounded with positivity rather than bitterness. Instead of being vindictive or scheming for revenge like so many Islanders are, she poured that energy into backing the other women up in the villa. This forged real friendships that have become the stuff of legend among fans. The evidence of Amaya's influence came in elimination ceremonies. When she was on the block for elimination, the other girls decided to send another girl home rather than her. That's how much respect and true love she had gained. In reality television, that degree of true loyalty is almost non-existent. Amaya's going viral moments weren't staged drama. They were off-the-cuff songs, offbeat humor, and one-liners from her naturally goofy personality. Fans adopted the moniker Team Amaya Papaya and were overrunning social media with edits featuring her iconic quotes such as, "God, you must be real, baby, because you are listening and you are answering my prayers." Holy guacamole, Amaya Papaya just may be in love. What distinguished Amaya from the other contestants was her refusal to change herself for the sake of strategic advantage. She famously stated, "I am not going to change who I am for anybody." And she truly stood by it. In a program where everyone is constantly considering their next move, Amaya's genuine pursuit of meaningful connections without pretense established her as a role model rather than just another reality television personality. If you want to understand why Love Island fans develop trust issues, look no further than Johnny Middlebrooks from Season 2. This guy managed to execute one of the most brutal betrayals in Love Island USA history, and his attempt to minimize it afterward made everything so much worse. Johnny began Season 2 as the type of participant that audiences actually liked. He was self-assured, charismatic, and really seemed interested in Tilly Vasquez. Their relationship was strong enough that fans were rooting for them as a potential winning pair. And so his Casa Amor infidelity did not just sting, but felt like a personal blow to all who were invested in their relationship. The drama continued around Season 2 Episode 16 in the Casa Amor twist, with the fallout playing out over the following episodes, and Johnny's conduct was calculated in the most terrible manner. As Celie was still wholly devoted back in the main house, Johnny had several intimate and romantic encounters with bombshell Mercedes Shell. This was not a lapse of judgment or a one-off mistake. It was ongoing, planned infidelity which demonstrated not one shred of respect for Celie or their relationship.
I don't want to hear Sally's name again. Like, are you living in the moment? This is one day that I've had.
Shut up, I'm living in the moment.
Can I shut you up with my lips?
You have to come here.
When the truth was revealed around episode 16, with the dramatic fallout continuing over the following episodes, the fight was heart-wrenching to watch. Celie had to witness video proof of Johnny's infidelity, and her pain was real and hurting. But what made Johnny absolutely reprehensible was not the cheating per se, it was the way he attempted to manipulate afterward. Johnny's defense mechanism was classic gaslighting. He presented his Casa Amor dalliances as testing their relationship and attempted to downplay his actions by pretending he was doing Celie a favor by keeping his options open. This sort of manipulative bullshit left viewers absolutely livid because it demonstrated that he had no shame and was even attempting to control the narrative. Mercedes Shell then publicly labeled Johnny fake and forecasted that he would soon slide into her DMs, which confirmed just how calculated his villa conduct was. She was aware of his manipulative techniques and was not shy about criticizing him for using others for his own progress. The most frustrating part was that Johnny's cunning tactics actually worked in the game. Despite the overwhelming anger from the audience, he managed to stay on the show and ultimately finished as the runner-up. This seemed like a reward for bad behavior and left viewers wondering if the show really was encouraging good relationship dynamics. Johnny's reputation became almost defined by betrayal and emotional game playing. Post-season stints on other reality television shows were marred by the stigma of being the Love Island villain, and fan responses were still largely negative. He was the warning story about how charmingness can cover up really bad behavior, and why audiences should never believe a person who attempts to defend cheating as testing the relationship. There are times when the greatest Love Island players aren't necessarily amazing at finding love themselves. They're phenomenal at creating true friendships that become more memorable than any love drama. Season 6's Serena Page was the ideal representation of what makes loyalty and sincerity bring you fame even if your love life isn't the most dramatic on television. Serena joined Season 6 on day one as a member of the original cast and made an immediate impression with maturity that separated her from standard reality TV participants. As a Houston native with marketing skills and sorority leadership experience, she carried this down-to-earth quality about her that attracted other Islanders to her effortlessly. Her slow-burning relationship with Cordell Beckham served as a testament that slow-burn romance really does suit better than contrived drama. Over Season 6 episodes, their relationship grew naturally without the usual Love Island hankering for physical closeness. Serena's method was wonderfully upfront. She'd utter things like, "If I want to see a future with someone, there's a vetting process. I need to make sure that it's not something that is done just to try and get me, and then just fizzle out later." That level of emotional intelligence resonated with fans who were sick of seeing contestants jump into bed after 3 days of knowing someone. Serena knew that genuine connections take time to develop, and she wasn't afraid to set that boundary forth. While undergoing Casa Amor testing for Season 6 Episode 22, her commitment never faltered because she had already defined what she needed from the relationship. But what actually made Serena legendary was her camaraderie with Jonna Craig and Leah Kateb. The three, labeled as PPG, Powerpuff Girls, were the center of Season 6 because their friendship seemed truly supportive and not strategically useful. The most memorable moment was in mid-season during the Casa Amor and recoupling period, when Serena strongly stood up for Leah during recoupling drama, saying, "We're not going to gang up on Leah," when other contestants were ganging up against her. That exchange went viral on social media because it represented true friendship in the face of adversity. Instead of throwing Leah under the bus to save her own game, Serena did what was right. Such character is not common on reality TV, where contestants generally take care of number one over loyalty. Serena's puff power attitude and innate leadership set the blueprint for how women's friendships on Love Island should be. She demonstrated that being there for other women doesn't render you vulnerable. It makes you an inspiration people actually care about supporting. Her win with Cordell on day 32 was well-deserved, because viewers had seen her repeatedly opt for reality and loyalty rather than strategy and drama. with 1.9 million Instagram followers cheering her on. Serena embodies contemporary empowerment and real connection, the very thing Love Island USA needed more of. Every now and then, Love Island presents us with islanders who embody all that is great about contemporary relationships and friendship. Jonna Craig in Season 6 turned out to be that exceptional islander who showed you could be vulnerable, loyal, and be your true self without losing at the game. Her experience was a lesson in emotional intelligence and real connection. Jonna came in on day 1 of Season 6 with this contagious energy that made her stand out right away from other reality TV personalities. Being an entrepreneur who has her own day trading and e-commerce business, she exuded this sense of independence and self-assurance that made her automatically charismatic to Islanders and audience members alike. Having this multicultural upbringing and free spirit, she possessed this wide-eyed view that added depth to every conversation she shared in the villa. It was Jonna's emotional intelligence and refusal to compromise on mediocrity that made her special. Across Season 6 episodes, her initial relationships with Coy Simmons and Connor Newsom demonstrated her straightforward attitude towards dating. She'd provide genuine opportunities to people, but wasn't hesitant to leave when she felt mismatched intentions or communication problems. This level of self-respect is uncommon in Love Island, where individuals tend to hold on to poor connections due to tactics. Jonna's greatest legendary work was as part of the PPG Powerpuff Girls trio with Serena Page and Leah Kateb. This was the emotional center of Season 6 because it was not strategic, but rather real female camaraderie. Jonna was fiercely loyal. She'd come to break up villa fights and give tough love when necessary, always from a position of heartfelt concern and not manipulation. Her romance with Kenny Rodriguez exemplified her cultural pride and loving vulnerability in stunning ways. Their relationship was built as a slow burn, culminating in Jonna's poignant multilingual speech in Spanish late in Season 6 during the finale. That moment intertwined her heritage with sweet romance in a manner that was natural, not performative. Even after their romance didn't end well after the villa, Jonna navigated the public drama in an amazing level of maturity and grace. Her Instagram post on heartbreak and responsibility generated huge sympathy from fellow Islanders and fans because it reflected genuine self-awareness and maturing instead of bitterness or defensiveness. Jonna's influence went far beyond Season 6. Her guest appearances on Beyond the Villa and NBC's Destination X demonstrated her entertainment factor wasn't based on romance drama. She could motivate and amuse based on her charisma and competitive drive. Her wifey energy and quick wit made her accessible to viewers who felt like they were seeing themselves in her experiences. What truly set Jonna apart from the rest of the contestants was her capacity to be vulnerable without manipulation, loyal without enabling negative behavior, and confident without being arrogant. She embodied the type of individual viewers truly wish to have as a friend, not merely watch for entertainment. The worst kind of Love Island player is not the shouty, overtly horrible villain. It's the manipulative mastermind who uses mental tricks and keeps up the innocent guys. Ace Green from Season 7 proved to be the ultimate example of how subtle emotional games are worse than detonating drama, and his behavior towards women made him one of the creepiest villains in the show's history. Ace came into Season 7 as a bombshell with this serene, strategic attitude that set off warning alarms in viewers, with experience recognizing manipulating patterns of behavior. His play wasn't about generating wholesale drama. It was about psychological war aimed at making his targets doubt their own reality and emotional reactions. The worst example of Ace's manipulative strategies was the way he treated Amaya Papaya Espinal. Ace would consciously taunt Amaya in discussions, playing on her emotional triggers while keeping up this angelic, calm facade. His intention was obviously to get Amaya to seem crazy or unstable to the other Islanders, thus discrediting her and destroying her relationships. What made Ace so manipulative was that he could gaslight individuals and still be reasonable to onlookers. He would make statements with the intent to elicit emotional reactions, then be confused or hurt himself when other people responded, and make them out to be the issue. Such psychological manipulation is actually dangerous because it causes the victim to second-guess themselves and their own senses and emotional reactions. The notorious heart rate challenge scandal with Huda Mustafa was the best illustration of Ace's manipulation and hypocrisy. In Season 7, Episode 24, Ace eagerly indulged in provocative behaviors with Huda throughout the challenge, but then chastised her for going too far and portrayed himself as the innocent victim of her sexual advances. This clever manipulation enabled him to profit from the publicity while also slut-shaming Huda and avoiding blame for his own actions. Ace's underhanded scheming and sneaky behavior generated further tension around the villa. His choice to set up a yoga date for Shelley without others being informed wasn't about love. It was about generating confusion and loneliness among contestants to his benefit. All he did appeared calculated to disrupt other individuals' relationships while keeping his own hands free. What made audiences most uneasy was Ace's serene demeanor hiding truly disturbing behavior. As opposed to bombastic villains who are clearly harmful, Ace's manipulation was so subtle that certain individuals may not even realize it as abuse. His genre is indicative of the kind of emotional manipulation that occurs in actual relationships, so his actions feel more personally threatening to audiences. Fan responses to Ace were universally negative because individuals could penetrate through his act of innocence to the calculated sadism below. He became identifiable with psychological manipulation and gaslighting and was crowned the master manipulator by viewers who were able to identify with his schemes. His handling of women, particularly his consistent undermining of Amaya, made him one of the most truly objectionable contestants in Love Island USA history. What's so intriguing is the way the villa becomes this ideal laboratory for bringing out who people are in reality when there are cameras surrounding them and they let their guard down. The distinction between real connection and manipulative games becomes absolutely clear when you're living in that pressure cooker 24/7. If you saw value in this analysis of Love Island's most divisive contestants, give that subscribe button a click. We're going in-depth on reality TV's biggest moments week after week.